Welcome YouTubers to another knife review. Today we're doing another in the series of the lightest and best, where we look at the lightest and best knife a certain manufacturer makes. Today we're looking at Jake Hoback Knives' lightest knife offering, which is the MK Ultra. Jake Hoback is a guy that's based out of Pennsylvania. He's been making knives since 1990. The knife he's manufactured is unique in a variety of ways. First of all, one of the things I like about it is he has a blade that's completely sterile. There's no maker marks either on the clip side or the show side. It also has a Hoback aesthetic where the blade to handle angle hyperextends beyond 180 degrees. Another thing that Jake does is he has a commitment to put a scripture reference on every single knife he manufactures. And this knife, you can see it says PS 23 Hoback. That stands for Psalm 23. So, as a nod to Jake Hoback and an honor to the way he integrates his faith with his craft, we're going to be reading Psalm 23 as well as reviewing his knife. I'll start at the beginning. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. Whenever you look at the Hoback knife, you may think, wow, if I had this knife, I don't think I would want anything else either. It's great because it's one of the lightest offerings in an EDC blade where you can get a 4-finger grip on a knife. Whenever Chris Reeve came out with his Sebenza, his small Sebenza, we thought that that was about as light as you could get. It had a titanium handle and came in at 3 ounces. And then Chris Reeve bested himself. He came out with a small Sebenza in carbon fiber, which took it from 3 ounces to 2 ounces. I'm going to be going over the specs on the blade here. The blade is 2.5 inches long on the MK Ultra. The handle length is 3.6 inches, which gives a total length of 6.25 inches. The weight is what's interesting. Chris Reeve's small Sebenza carbon fiber got down to 2.2 ounces. The MK Ultra gets down to a svelte 2 ounces. I'm going to be comparing it to some of the common knives out there in the marketplace. The Spyderco Dragonfly is a little bit smaller. The SOG Flash 1 is a little bit smaller as well. And the Zero Tolerance 0900 is much chubbier and just a titch longer, I believe. So those are the comparisons. Let's talk about the blade. The blade is beautiful. It's made of AEBL steel, which isn't commonly used in knifedom. It is used to make razor blades because of its fine crystalline structure and its ability to hold an edge well. The blade, as I'd mentioned before, is sterile. There are no maker marks or no billboarding, both on the show side and on the clip side. The blade is a hollow ground Tonto style blade. On the spine it has jimping, which has 2 apexes and 3 troughs. When you hold it in a saber grip, it causes your finger to lock in well and you get a good purchase with it. When you close the blade, the angle is done uniquely of the blade closure. It's not parallel to the handle scales on purpose. Near the pivot, the blade juts out above the handle scales, and then toward the tail of the knife, the blade sinks down below the handle scales. The blade was not placed parallel to the handle scales for purpose so that it protects your finger. I can push the pad of my finger as far as I can into the knife and it won't be cut by the blade. The flipper tab is placed as it should be, a little anterior to the pivot. That means that whenever you deploy the blade, you get a nice deployment angle. This looks to be about a 70-degree deployment angle. The detent is medium in strength, which provides for a great flipping action in this knife. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. When you're in dark, shady places with shadows all around, it's comforting to know that you have a rod and a staff at your access. But you know what? it's nicer to know that you have a nice knife at your access to. The handle on this Hoback MK Ultra is made of 6061 T6 aluminum and has a gray anodized finish, which hardens it and makes it more durable. It has, as you can see, an open pillar construction. The only 3 attachment points, because it has an internal stop pin, are the pivot, and that it has 2 standoffs posteriorly so that it can be easily cleaned out with the open pillar construction. As I've mentioned before, the maker's mark contains a scripture reference, Psalms 23 and Hoback. And the Hoback hatchet is proudly placed on the pocket clip. I personally think it's one of the coolest maker marks in the industry. The pocket clip is a surface-mounted steel spring clip attached with 2 screws. Its orientation is right tip up, and it has the capacity to be left tip up also. No tip down configuration is available. The pivot is on the show side a stonewash or bead blasted silver color, and on the clip side a copper color. It operates on steel thrust bearings which have bearing races. The locking mechanism is a captive liner lock with an easily accessible tab to close it. As you can tell, the liner lock goes all the way across the blade tang and has 100% lockup. This is a very secure blade and has no vertical or lateral blade play whatsoever. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. My summary on the Hoback MK Ultra is, there are opportunities for improvement. As I mentioned before, the knife is without a sharpening ricasso, which will make it difficult to sharpen all the way to the end. It'd be easy to add a sharpening ricasso. The other thing is that the detent angle is pretty profound. The detent angle is whenever you close the knife, you press the knife after you've released the lock bar down, and there's a point of resistance where the tang of the blade hits the detent ball, and you have to overcome that. With a normal knife, you have to babysit it and keep the lock bar closed until you get over that, and then you can shake the knife down. This knife, I don't know that the detent angle is that important because you don't need to babysit the knife over the detent ball. You can just close it smoothly like that, so maybe I shouldn't even be mentioning it. Overall, this is a great EDC knife. I love it. It's small and light. It's one of the lightest offering any manufacturer offers at 2 ounces even. And I love it that Jake Hoback is one of the only knife makers I know that places a scripture reference on his knives. He puts his life and his faith into his craft. And I like it that all the maker's marks are subtle. The blade is sterile. The Hoback hatchet is one of the coolest maker's mark ever. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I also hope that goodness and mercy follows you all the days of your life.